Wow, Dave Portnoy goes off on ABC's Scumbag reporter and abruptly ended the interview. All this and more on Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name's Sarah Stock. I'm filling in for Elijah Schaefer today on Gateway Pundit's Week in Review, where we look at some of the top stories of the past 24 hours and give our thoughts on them. So Jim Hoft wrote this article about Dave Portnoy, the owner of Barstool Sports, going off on this liberal journalist. So Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy tore into an ABC News Philadelphia reporter, accusing her of a bait-and-switch ambush over an anti-Semitic sign displayed at his Barstool Sansom Street bar in Philadelphia. Portnoy posted a video on social media Monday exposing a contentious exchange with an unnamed female reporter. He claims that the reporter tried to pin the incident on him, Barstool, and white men, citing a dubious quote from some professor at the Spacecraft University or whatever. So ABC News Philadelphia, they reach out, they beg me to do an interview, they give the reporter's name, it's some reporter, and then they do a bait and switch, Portnoy said. He continued, a new reporter shows up to do it this morning. She starts like, okay, fair enough, asking questions about the bar. How did it happen? Responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And then she shifts. And then she does what a media scumbag does. According to Portnoy, the reporter cited a vague quote from some unnamed professors claiming Barstool creates a culture of harassment. When pressed for sources, the reporter claimed they came from a journal and faculty at the University of Virginia without further verification or context. She's like, well, she pulls a quote out of her ass from, I don't even know, a made-up journal, some professor at the Spacecraft University or something. It's like, they say that Barstool Sports creates a culture of harassment and that basically I'm responsible for this happening at my own bar. I never heard the quote. Oh, you're saying some effing liberal college professor said they don't like Barstool? So I was like, well, who effing said it? And what even is this journal? We go back and forth. Austin, who's here, started taping it. This effing piece of S, Portnoy said. Interview spiraled as Portnoy flipped the narrative, accusing college campuses of fueling hate far worse than Barstool ever could. Here's who's causing that environment. Colleges letting Jewish kids get harassed 24/7. I've been calling it this out forever, he shot back. I totally disagree with what you just said. Who's creating more hate right now in the world? Can you say that Barstool Sports and the white men or college campuses? The reporter clinging to her I'm the journalist card, refused to engage, insisting that Portnoy answer her questions. You're not running this interview, she snapped. Now, I think a lot of us are kind of sick and tired of people pulling the whole I'm the expert card as if their college degree or their credentials mean that they're automatically right about things. Dave Portnoy seemed to be pretty fed up with this as well. In case you missed the story earlier today for some earlier this week for some backstory, this all started with a sign at Dave Portnoy's Barstool Sports bar in Philadelphia. Police are investigating an incident where a Temple University student receiving bottle service had the waitress carry a sign emblazoned with an anti-Semitic message, F Jews. Portnoy, who is Jewish, took to X to express his anger and disgust at the incident, saying that he shook for 2 hours. He said that he was making it his life's mission to ruin these people and that he is coming for your throat. He followed his initial remarks with a more measured approach and announced that he is sending the people involved in the incident to Auschwitz, the site of the former Nazi concentration and extermination camp, to learn about the Holocaust. Shared that everyone involved on their staff who let this happen was fired instantly, and then said, let's try to turn a hideous incident into maybe a learning experience, he said. Now, I think a lot of people on the right wing are pretty divided about this. Some people are really sharing in Dave Portnoy's offense at the situation and, agreeing that it's good these kids are being sent to Auschwitz. Others are more concerned that this is just fueling cancel culture, that regardless of what a sign says, people shouldn't be losing their jobs over language or words, and that Dave Portnoy took it too far in his response. Here is a video of him talking about the ABC reporter.
First of all, what time is it? It is 7:15. I'm out here in beautiful Scottsdale for the Bet Gala tonight. And obviously this thing at the bar, the fuck the Jews sign, the anti-Semitic sign at my bar, still going. So all press being like, will you talk about it? Yeah, I'll fucking talk about it. So ABC News, Philadelphia, they reach out. They beg me to do an interview. They give me the reporter's name. It's some reporter, and then they do a bait and switch. And a new reporter shows up to do it this morning. She starts like, okay, fine enough, asking questions about the bar, how did it happen, responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And then she shifts. And then she does what a media scumbag does. She's like, well, she pulls a quote out of her ass from like, I don't even know, a made-up journal, some professor at like the Sportocratic University of something. It's like they say that Barstool Sports creates a culture of harassment and that basically I'm responsible for this happening at my own bar. I never heard the quote. Oh, you're saying some fucking liberal college professor said they don't like Barstool? So I was like, well, who fucking said it? And what is this even journal? We go back and forth. Austin, who's here, started taping it. This fucking...
Next, even leftists are getting tired of Michelle Obama's constant complaining about her privileged life. Now, Michelle Obama's new podcast is not being watched by many people, and it's pretty easy to understand why. When she's not complaining about her husband, the former president, she is complaining about how difficult her very privileged life is. The woman, as some people say, and who is also the former first lady, owns mansions in multiple locations. The media hangs on her every word, and she's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, yet all she does is complain. It's gotten to the point where even some leftists are starting to get tired of her. The tweet below has been viewed more than 2 million times. It reads in part, I've always liked Michelle Obama. That ended this morning. I've been watching clips of her making the rounds, complaining about her time as First Lady. She's complaining that living in the White House is too expensive because they had to pay for their own food and pay for the girls to fly on one of their parents' 2 airplanes. I'm done. I'm done with the bougie, the elite, the completely out of touch, dictating how everyone in this country thinks and feels. The effing ignorance and self-pity, the attention-seeking, poor me. I'm just disgusted. Her husband made $400,000 per year. When he was elected, I was a single mom trying to recover from losing everything when the market crashed, and I lost my house in foreclosure and had to file bankruptcy. I've spent the years since rebuilding my life, and I have a lot to be thankful for. I now own a beautiful home and a small chunk of land, but it took me 40 plus years to get here. I lived in a homeless shelter for a time when I was a kid. I had to stay in my grandmother's senior high-rise on the down low because it was illegal, because the only other option was a shelter. I had cockroaches crawling me on my bed as a kid. But you people think parading Michelle Obama around to make me feel sorry for her financial troubles because she had to pay for her kid to ride on her effing airplane is going to be effective? Literally, go F yourselves. I've always liked... Michelle Obama has never been very popular with conservative Americans, so if she loses progressives, who is she going to have left? Just seems like nothing the country has blessed her with is ever good enough for her. Yeah, this is something I think a lot of people are pretty sick and tired of, is these celebrities, these elite, complaining about how difficult their lives are when they are just living the most easy lives anyone could possibly have. I remember during COVID, they were complaining about having to stay home when they were in these massive mansions. Nobody was sick. They were all perfectly fine, living in the laps of luxury. But us, plebeians had to just like sit on the sidelines and watch them. So makes sense, of course. Leftists like to complain about everything. But I think a lot of people on the right are pretty tired of Michelle Obama as well, too. So they're definitely not alone. Next, President Trump directs the DOJ to take all necessary action to release political prisoner Tina Peters. And yet another blatant display of political persecution, former Mesa County, Colorado clerk Tina Peters, 68, a Gold Star mother, has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. Last week, President Trump's close friend and former schoolmate, Peter Ticklin, filed an amicus brief in support of Tina Peters in Colorado. Ticklin's brief supports Peters and her position. Here's an introductory paragraph from the brief. The defendant, Tina Peters, had a broad-based appeal pending to the Colorado Court of Appeals, but also due to several health concerns and the injustice of detention, has filed a 28 U.S.C. 2254 habeas corpus petition for release from incarceration and thereby access to necessary medical care, pending her appeal on the main topics. The violation of her civil rights and constitutional rights supports habeas relief of release pending the outcome of all appeals. Tina Peters has been prosecuted for exposing criminal misconduct of other Colorado officials, whether she intended that at the time or not. The Colorado Attorney General is even guilty of the now famous 18 U.S.C. obstruction of an official proceeding, as well as attempted destruction of evidence, attempted in Peters District, but surely completed in other parts of Colorado. So in October 2024, Tina Peters, the former Mesa County, Colorado clerk, was found guilty of 3 charges and sentenced to 9 years in prison. She was jailed for preserving evidence from the 2020 elections that she was told to delete, despite laws to preserve records for a length of time. The nasty leftist judge berated her, insulted her, and told her that she had white privilege. And then gave her 9 years in prison. So I think a lot of us are pretty tired of being told that we have white privilege, and coming from a judge, it's a little bit concerning because it kind of makes you feel like justice is not being carried out fairly. If they're having to mention your skin color, it kind of feels like they're targeting you for your race and not for any actual crimes. Doesn't sound like a very fair trial to me personally. Now, I know we're struggling with a lack of masculinity in the world right now, especially in the Western world. We are witnessing a generational decline in men's testosterone levels due to lifestyle choices, diet, and exposure to environmental toxins. This decline can result in persistent fatigue, diminished strength, reduced libido, mood swings, and an overall loss of vitality, keeping you from feeling like your best self. Take control of your vitality with Man's Edge from Neutronics Labs, the natural solution to support healthy testosterone levels. Man's Edge is more than just a standard booster. It combines powerful ingredients like fenugreek, IGF-1, NO2, and more to help you feel your best. Studies show that fenugreek increases testosterone levels by up to 46%. Plus, unlike traditional powders and pills, Man's Edge offers up to 98% absorption, ensuring you receive the full benefits of these clinically proven ingredients. Even Frank Stallone has made it part of his daily routine to stay at the top of his game. Join Frank Stallone and thousands of men rediscovering their vitality daily with Man's Edge. Sign up for our auto ship program today and save 50% on all of your orders. Reclaim your lost youth and energy. Visit the link below now or go to tboostnow.com. Use code Elijah to save an additional 10% on your first order. Next, a former housing official says that the U.S. government has built a $21 trillion underground city for the wealthy and powerful to live in a near-extinction event. So you can watch the video here to see what she says on Tucker Carlson.
History of near-extinction events. And one of the things that I've had, because I'm trying to figure out, when between fiscal 1998 and fiscal 2015, there were 21 trillion of undocumentable adjustments in the U.S. government. If you go to our website, missingmoney.solera.com, we have years and years of documentation, including the government financials that show this. And so the question is, where's all this money going? And one of the things I've looked at in the process of looking at where all this money is going is the underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built. And
I'm sorry?
Yes. So we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems. Some of these are some of these are documented as part of the national security infrastructure. I think there are many more. So
in the United States?
In the United States, on all over the world. But from 2021 to 2023, I took one of the smartest subscribers in the Solera Report network, and he and I spent 2 years collecting all the data and all the allegations on underground bases. And then we systematically went through and tried to estimate our guess. This is totally a guess of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States, but also underground under the ocean around the United States. And our estimate was 170 with a transportation network connecting them.
And what would be the purpose?
The purpose, if you thought you were going to get a near extinction event, So there, to me, there are two purposes. You have so many activities going on.
So Catherine Austin Fitts, who served as the Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development for Housing between 1989 and 1990, appeared on former Fox News host Tucker Carlson's podcast last Tuesday, as you just watched, to claim that the United States government has spent a whopping $21 trillion over several years building an underground city for the wealthiest and most powerful in the country. She used a few different sources to back up her allegations. And when Tucker asked why, she says, in case there is a near-extinction event, and you have so many activities going on that you need to keep secret. Now, these are some pretty wild allegations, and honestly, it's a little bit scary. I mean, it's hard to know what to believe these days, but if this is true, I mean, that's insane. If we have like some underground cities that our elites are just supposed to be living in, kind of feels like they're preparing for something really scary that only they know about. Makes me a little bit nervous. And our final story of the day, space junk. Half a century after launch, decommissioned Soviet spacecraft will fall back to Earth this week. Most populated cities on the planet are on its deadly trail. Written by Paul Sarin. Now, for half a century, lost Soviet satellite Cosmos 482 circled the Earth's orbit after the rocket propelling it failed to send it to Venus to fulfill its mission. Now, it'll crash back on Earth. 1,100 pounds of space junk expected to hit our planet anywhere between May 9th and May 13th. That's this week. An astronomer at this point has calculated roughly where it might land, and all of the world's most populated cities are directly in its firing line. Great to know. The Daily Mail reported satellite tracker and astronomer of the Delft University of Technology, Dr. Marco Landbroek, predicts the satellite will land between latitude 52 degrees north and 52 degrees south. Worryingly, if it does collide with a populated area, Dr. Langbroek warns that the out-of-control satellite could prove deadly. Cosmos 482's 1972 mission was to gather information about Venus, but the Soviet rocket carrying it suffered an engine malfunction, leaving the broken probe circling Earth's orbit. Scientists now believe that an object making its way towards Earth at a 17,000 miles per hour is Cosmos 482's landing module, the final missing piece of the probe. The estimated landing locations cover almost all Earth's populated regions, with every most populated city in the risk area. So it's probable that the probe will land in one of the oceans. Astronomer Dr. Jonathan McDowell says, if you land something in a random part of the Earth, the chance that it hits a person is about 1 in 10,000. The chance that it hits you is then 1 in 10 billion, smaller than that. So I don't think any of us have too much to worry about being hit by a piece of space junk, but you never know. So this week, maybe keep an eye on the sky in case anything's falling in your direction so you can run out of the way. Hopefully it just lands in the ocean and nobody gets hurt. This is a mug that I love to use all the time. You can get on the Gateway Pundit website. I think, well, this one might actually be Elijah's, but you can get one yourself too. Drink some coffee out of that every single morning. And yeah, my name's Sarah Stock. Thanks for watching this week's Week in Review, hearing our stories from today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.